Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. We have a great panel for you today, and we're going to be talking about how and why AI is rewriting partner engagement, and are we actually ready for it? And so looking forward to a very lively discussion. Feel free, get involved, chip in with comments, questions, etc. And I would now like to bring in our panelists. And I will introduce them all one by one. Let's see how we go. So I'd like to start by introducing James Hodgkinson. And James is with 360 Insights. And James, if you could tell us a little bit about 360.
Yeah, hey Rod, and hi everybody. Great to connect today. And yeah, so I'm James. I'm Senior Vice President of Ecosystem at 360 Insights. And one of the stories that we're telling in the industry and what we're starting to really see as the future state of PartnerTech is really the ecosystem of solution providers and the different technologies and capabilities that need to come together to really move the needle on business outcomes. And that's really a big part of what I do at 360 is building and curating that ecosystem and combining it with the rich heritage we have in partner experience and incentives management to actually drive the behavior that will help our clients really achieve these business outcomes. So the conversation we're having is all around this. You know, how do we really deliver on the promise of partner source revenue or marketplace activation or multi-partner selling? How does that get done? And how does AI help us expedite that journey? So lots of interesting conversations, but looking forward to the chat today.
Excellent. And our second panelist is Tom Bowles, and Tom is with ChannelScaler.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, Tom Bowles, Strategic Account Director at ChannelScaler. So at ChannelScaler, we really are a PRM and program automation for partner programs, channel programs, really thriving in kind of complexity and scale. So really great to join you all today, and excited to kind of just talk about real life AI use cases, like things that we're doing in the trenches that are delivering outcomes, and really kind of unpack that in any way and remove any sort of mystery to it. So really great to join, and thanks.
Excellent. And our third panelist is Harbinder Khera, and Harbinder is with Mindmatrix.
Good afternoon, everybody. Harbinder Khera, founder, CEO of Mindmatrix, started this company 29 years ago. I would say, I can definitely say this today. We're the last platform from a partner enablement you will ever need. I know it's a bold statement. So we are AI first, 100% AI native, not bolt-on. And so from a capability perspective, we support end-to-end enablement of partners. No rip and replace of any of our features. You can, from partner marketing, from sales enablement, all the way to from all the PRM capabilities, all in one platform. 100% modular that you can use either three pieces or you can use all of them. And this is the last platform you ever need. And today we're going to demonstrate and talk about how AI is actually shaping the complete partner ecosystem. And we're going to demonstrate some of the key features. Excited to be on the call.
And our fourth panelist is Stephen Kellam with Structured. So Stephen,
sure.
Tell us about Structured.
Sure. Once again, Stephen Kellam, Chief Revenue Officer at Structured. Look, we're the leading AI native channel marketing automation platform. And what we do and how we do it, and especially around AI, it's got to be purpose built. I'm going to piggyback off of what James said, what Tom said, what Harbinder said as we go through this. Look, we look at it and go, it's got to be easy, right, for partners to engage. So how do they create content quickly and easily? Then it has to add value. How do they hyper personalize that? How do they target it? And how do they execute it really easily so they come back again? And we use AI for all of that. And then most importantly, it's got to drive demand and it's got to drive revenue, right? So that's what we're going to talk about, because that's what partners need, right? They need purpose-built AI. They need to come in and make it really easy for them. They need to add value, and then they've got to be able to document that it, they're ROIing their time, right? They got to make sure that it's worthwhile. So that's what we do at Structured. We make it really easy for partners to do all that.
Excellent. And there's only one place to see all this, and that is at PartnerTech X on the 16th to the 18th of March. So basically, everyone will be sent the code, and we have a special offer which actually expires tomorrow for people to attend. So use the love code. It is, after all, Valentine's Day on Saturday. And Love PTX 26 will get you $100 off the registration. You can click on the code now, or basically you will get it from the team immediately after the call. So onwards and upwards. I'm hearing more and more that PartnerTech is becoming a key part of partners' choice in terms of which vendors they are actually choosing to work with. And James, if I can fire that at you, what are the key defining factors that you see that are making this so important today?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as partner tech, but I think it comes down to ease of doing business and how available is that to partners working with different vendors. Because frankly, we're living in a world now with an attention deficit syndrome. Nobody's got any time to learn any software. Nobody wants to spend all this manual work doing deal registrations or whatever. So I think if you can make this super easy and hyper personalized and put it in the context of each individual who engages with you in the partner program, you're naturally going to have a competitive advantage. And I think the AI opportunity there obviously is expediting a lot of that opportunity, because we deal with a lot of complexity in channels, and that's often been complex from a technology perspective because you have to fill out lots of data and forms and fields, and of course the way we can now start to approach those motions is a lot easier. So every industry and every organization can benefit from AI, but in the complex environment in the world we live in with all of these different variables, AI can play an even bigger role. And I think the companies who understand that are going to have a really big advantage in terms of their ability to attract, retain, and drive behavior that they need with their partners.
Okay, and let's drill down into that. Tom, if you look at your clients and their engagement with the partners, where are they seeing? What are the specific things that they're doing where partners are going, yeah, this really is making you easier to do business with?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think we always answer this, and there's a scale here that we start to think about. One, are we thinking about it from the partner's perspective and the PAM supporting that partner's perspective? How is that role evolving very quickly? And then also just on the maturity scale, right? Are you a program of 50 partners? Are you a program of tens of thousands of partners? And how does that change things along the way? So there's the vendor side. How do we make the PAMs more efficient and strategic and get them away from being an admin for the partners to help those partners? And then how do the partners self-service and help themselves in a way that they never could historically, right? And or without you as the vendor maybe really having a lot of documentation that someone then has to go comb through. So if you think about it really just fundamentally, I mean, if you think about, and probably anyone on this call, your own AI usage within the past 12 months, how much has that radically gone up, right? It's just going up, and it's more and more and more. And so now we're seeing that the partners can actually self-service within this. Now, the trick to that is, how are you tuning the bots? How are you tuning a chat bot in general? And then how, if you're trying to do something more strategic, how are you then tuning that use case, right? So that's where the magic starts to happen beyond what's out of the box. Making sure that you're kind of focusing on the appropriate contextual model, and then actually serving the right information to the right people at the right time. And it seems like magic, right? I think that's the kind of key milestone. So it is the frontline things. You're doing this. Let me support you, Mr. or Mrs. Partner. Or even on the PAM side, as they're in the middle of an engagement, how are they being fed the right information at the right time to best support that partner to get them to move kind of up your engagement model?
But Harbinder, what is that right information? What is the PAM looking for? How do you deliver it to the PAM? Want to really drill down into this and get specific.
Absolutely. So I agree with with Tom 100%. The two sides of the coin, the partner side and the people supporting the partner ecosystem. Okay. Now, as an example, when you think about PAMs, access to the partner data. One is what AI has done is through natural language, you can access any partner data. Okay. Now, the second part here is now you can look at the partner insight. You can say, show partners who qualify for MDF funds. Show partners, like, show me the partners who are going to churn this year. Project the revenue in my channel in 2026. All that data, all that insight, you can actually glean from the past history. You can do predictive analytics, or you can access real-time data about your partners. The two use cases, and then the third part is you have the partner information. Now you can focus on generative content to create an email to those particular partners. Insight, they can take actions on the insight. That is really how AI is transforming it. One of the important things about AI, as James and Tom talked about, easy button. Easy, easy, easy. Why is easy? Because now you're communicating with your computer through natural language. That is the big paradigm shift that has happened. Never happened before. And that's why, if you think about the screens are going away. You don't need the fancy screens. You just need a chat interface to create campaigns, to get any access to the data, create templates, do whatever. Now you're interacting with the whole application through a narrow window. That is transforming it. Easy and on-demand access and hyper-personalized. That is really all these different elements is transforming the partner engagement with the brand.
And Stephen, if you look at your clients, what are their partners demanding? What's different today from where it was 18 months ago? And we're providing a lot of stuff, but what are the partners specifically responding to and going, yeah, that's exactly what I want?
Well, there's a couple things on this, right? First, I want to talk about what everyone else sort of talked about in terms of making it easy and making value. I think it's going to shift very, very quickly. And some partners are starting to ask for this. Some of them not even sure they're aware of it yet, or maybe they're thinking about it. I think very, very quickly, we're going to have to move past the table stakes. And Harbinder, James, Tom, you probably agree. Making it simple, making it personalized, that's great. Partners are ROIing their time. And by the way, the world that I live in the channel marketing, that's probably where partners are the worst, right? They're good at product, they're okay at sales, they're really bad at marketing. And they're ROIing their time. We see this all the time. And so if they come in on Tuesday morning at 7:00, they need to do something. I agree, Harbinder. They need to know who they are, where they are, what they need to do. The next step is we need to tell them what to do and show them what to do. And that is what's going to be the big differentiator. I think making it easy and value is one thing, but you need to say, hey, Mr. Partner, this is what you've done. This is what we recommend that you do. I think Harbinder started going down that path. Here's the content that's out there. Here's what's going to make you successful. By the way, we know who your buyers are. Here's who you're targeted to. I think we're going to see the game level raise tremendously from where it's just make it easy and make it valuable to here's what you need to do to be successful. And those who go down that route and provide that sort of feedback, like Harbinder, you talked about it. Don't just tell me there's MDF dollars available. Tell me what to do with the MDF. Don't tell me I need to run a campaign. Tell me what the campaign is. Oh, and by the way, give me real-time feedback on how successful it was and tell me what I need to do it better. That's what we're going to need to do. And I think that's what's going to get more partners really being successful. And the vendors that do that are going to differentiate themselves.
Excellent. And periodically during this webinar, we want to show you some of the technology that's being used. So people are going to give very brief demonstrations of the kinds of things that are happening. And the first person that's going to do that is James. So James, over to you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to set the stage here for a few seconds and then show you what I think is a really interesting use case. So, like I said in my intro, the 360 Insights ecosystem has got a slightly different take on how this needs to get done, and this working together concept is really key. I think the next level of business outcomes through technology is going to be about composition of multiple solutions, not about one platform that does everything. And it isn't going to be PRM. I think the traditional PRM category is for a long time is not meeting this moment. What really needs to happen is different technologies and composable solutions need to work together because data's everywhere. AI is going to be built in multiple places. Different applications are working differently and different standards. So 360 Insights ecosystem together actually with two of the companies on this call, Structured and Mindmatrix, who were partners of 360, and now in partnership with ServiceNow, are pioneering an approach around multi-platform orchestration. And that's what I just want to show you for a couple of minutes in the use case, actually, of what ServiceNow is bringing to their own ecosystem. So I'm going to share my screen and just, you said 2.5 minutes, right? Which is ambitious, but I'll do my best.
You've already taken 30 seconds.
Well, he told me I could have the 31st, so I'm going to hold you to that. So here we go in terms of a use case. So I'm going to very quickly talk about something that's quite complex, but hopefully from the user perspective is not. So you think about the orchestration of partner co-selling. How do you get partners to talk to their customers to introduce joint value propositions that actually are going to impact the vendor's business? Done effectively at scale, this is game changing in terms of generating partner source revenue, but very rarely works because it's very complicated and it has a number of moving parts. So what you're seeing here is a campaign or a sales play connected to a business plan where the partner is trying to achieve, $400,000 of revenue by specifically targeting their customers or prospects with the joint value proposition they have built with ServiceNow. So again, there's multiple data sources that power this. The integration with ServiceNow CRM and with sales order management, which is DealReg. It's talking to account mapping technology, to marketing technology. So the agentic wrapper is not just 360. This is, I want to talk about all of this in one place. I want to understand the performance of this campaign. I want to understand what I should be doing to improve it. I need to understand how many dollars I've got left to spend on it. All of these things are working together. So when it comes to campaign execution, we're going down to a hyper-specific level of partner enablement, because you can see from the screen here that there is very specific ICP targeting going on here with the partner against named accounts with specific pipeline goals. So when it comes to how do I manage the target accounts and the CRM overlap, there's a platform that does that incredibly well called Crossbeam, right? That has to be part of this same brain if this is going to work. So through the 360 Insights ecosystem, those solutions work together. Crossbeam powers the account mapping piece of it. And then you think, well, if I know the end customer data, how do I effectively generate demand with these organizations? This is where Structured comes into play with hyper-personalized assets that are created on the fly that can enable me to say, if I'm trying to sell to these clients with these joint solutions, what is the exact campaign architecture that's needed to drive that behavior? And this is being done by Structured, and also by Mindmatrix. These are the components that partner marketing intelligence brings to something like this. And then when you talk about generating demand, how do I use MDF dollars? Not in a disconnected process that's sitting somewhere off to the side. How do I actually use agency services, in this case, working with our partners at Pretzel, to actually generate results here? But what's so cool about the better together story and the transactional attribution is you can wrap intelligence and AI around all of this. So if I'm now trying to tell the partner, here's how to focus, I can also use buying intelligence, again AI enabled, to tell this individual, here are the exact customers you should be going after. This is how likely they are to buy the joint solutions, and this is why. And in partnership with an organization called GTM Fabric, we're enabling this level of data and intelligence inside the same experience. So in closing, this can only be done with multiple components, different technologies working together, agentic orchestration across all these systems. We believe that's the future, and 360's ecosystem is the only project that's actually bringing that together on behalf of the enterprises we serve.
James, very cool. And one of the things, bringing you into this for a moment, Harbinder, I have basically heard many times tiered programs are dead. Are they? Or is there something else that's appearing in their place?
They're not dead yet. If you look at, I hear about AI transforming tier programs, yes or no? If you think about tier programs, obviously, a lot of times they're kind of rigid. The data is, past data. If you think about tier program in a bronze, silver, platinum, whatever, so it's looking at your historical data, puts you, sometimes, it's not automated. So yes, those are some inherent problems. But now in the age of AI, the data is, dynamic. You have access to a lot of insight about the partners. You can predict about these partners. You can gamify these things better. Yes, so these tier programs can be made more fluid, more intelligent, no doubt about it, 100%. And that is really some of the changes that you're seeing in the industry. People are moving from a very structured tier program to more fluid in a sense where the data is dynamic, data coming from CRM. So now the question you ask, do we want to really make 100% AI driven? My answer is no. Knowing about AI, use AI where you can control the predictability. And in this case, you can actually make your current tier programs a little bit more automated without even using AI. Bring in the CRM data, move things from one tier to another, bring in all the different data sources. And then you can do a little bit for prediction in AI to see what certain partners are going to do well and recommend certain things to them and incentivize those partners accordingly based on the past. So you can bring some of the predictive data. So my recommendation is if you are in a hardwired traditional tier model, go to semi-automated mode right away without using AI, then blend in some elements of AI. Knowing AI, what I know for all these years, I use it where it's necessary. So
excellent. And Stephen, one of the things that people are trying to do when they start to move away from traditional tiers is look very closely at how they are rewarding partners and the kinds of things that they want partners to do. So no longer may it be the guy with the most transactions who is the desired partner. It may be a partner in a new area. It may be a partner that's embracing AI. How do we recognize those people? How do we use the AI technologies that we have to recognize them, and how should we reward them?
So there's a couple things. I don't work for a rewards company anymore, right? But I did for a while. Look, I'll take
That's why I picked on you.
Yeah, well, look, I'll take what Harbinder said and be pretty succinct about it. I think it makes it better. I think we've always wanted to have these tiers to reward the people who are doing well, but a huge part of it is how do we drive these partners to do what we want them to do, and how do we reward them? And I think we can use AI for predictability. Also, we can use get the partners to use AI and start to measure their effectiveness. How good are they at demand generation? How good are they at using AI to build and to grow? And I think we need to start and measure that. So look, I think AI is going to be a big part of it, and how we're going to reward them. Reward them for the things you want them to do, right? And I think, as you said, Harbinder, it becomes pretty fluid. Look, you can make it fluid where they sit, but you need to be very specific about what you want them to do, engage them, and then reward them for that, right? I think a rewards program and tying in works really well for what we do, right? So reward them for doing demand generation, for trying AI, purpose-built AI, for running campaigns. And I think really important for reporting on that, and it's effective as well.
Okay. Tom, let me bring you into this. Part of this is recognizing individual partners, recognizing the skills that they have and the part they play in your ecosystem. How does AI play into that? And what sort of information can we gain and utilize to help us really understand what we need to be doing?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it piggybacks on everything that everyone on the panel has said so far, right? Like, one, I agree that the tiering, the historical tiering is not dead, right? I'm in these programs every day. I'm working with people to automate them. We're questioning them along the way. What is the best practice, right? So part of it is program design. And the other, it's one side. What do you need as a vendor? What are the important KPIs to your business? And how are you driving those forward as your ecosystem evolves? And the other side of that coin that people like to forget about sometimes when we're in the design phase and we raise our hands to remind them is, what is the unit economics to the partner, and how do these changes impact that, right? By partner type or wherever you're trying to engage. And that's that ebb and flow. It's never been easier, though, to design and programs and run what if scenarios. And this is for leveling tiering in its classical sense, all the way through to kind of, everyone's attempt at point-based systems to kind of be a partner, choose your own adventure, all the way through to, well, we want to be the most snowflake program ever and let people just do whatever, and we're going to nail this, right? But with AI, you have a chance to actually design that program and optimize what you're doing today, and then run with the what if scenarios that are out there. I think that's AI gives us an amazing opportunity to do that in a way that we used to do it with reporting, and many of you on this call maybe did it in Excel. Someone say, well, what if we move the goalposts, right? Okay, well, I'll get to you next week when I'm done macroing this Excel sheet. So Now that same Excel sheet can be dumped into AI and say, well, if I want to optimize this, what happens if I run this? And what happens if I run this? So I don't think they're dying. I think they are modifying. And all the way back to James's point, the ecosystem, multi-company solutions, multi-partner selling, orchestration around that becomes more and more important. And AI unlocks that. So it's gonna bleed into all the fundamentals of leveling, tiering, incentive structures, and so on and so forth.
Okay. And James, when we're looking at this, we're talking about personalizing, we're talking about recognizing partners, we're talking about recognizing the things that they do. I know you're doing this with a lot of your customers, but what are the key challenges you face when you try and make this happen?
Well, I think what's interesting is the bit that's always really needed and often missing is the business design and the strategic inputs up front to actually work out how to help the clients be successful. And that's something, again, that we've invested deeply in through ecosystem partnership to say, look, we don't really want to be putting technology into companies unless they have a clear reason for why, right? Because trying to reverse engineer operational channel programs into PRMs, that's table stakes, but is it really driving business goals? So what we're starting to see is if we can ask the questions first about what is it you're trying to do here and how does it link to the corporate objectives of your organization, we're finding a new generation of leaders who are starting to think a bit differently about this, who aren't necessarily in the channel or just in the partner side of the house, but they're actually looking at something like the motion I just described in co-selling as a core part of their go-to-market strategy, where they need internal sellers working together with multiple partners in different categories to actually execute what is a hybrid GTM motion. So don't build a program, try to build a motion that really supports the business goals and then get the partners you have in the program to support it. Because as Tom rightly says, the programs are there, they're not going away anytime soon. There is still operational commitments made in tiers and all of these things. But you have to look at like supply to the demand of the business objective, I think. And that can also help you with new partner acquisition, where you're like, if we're trying to open up XYZ here and we need to expedite our sales engine by bringing partners at every stage of the client life cycle, who do we need, right? And I think the companies that are building ecosystems where they see all the players as connected, where the employees, the partners, the influencers, the marketplaces, that's the ecosystem. It's not just the partners. So we're starting to see that shift, and I think it's aligned with the joining up of channel and direct go-to-market and the realization that ecosystem-led growth is going to be the engine of the future, not direct sales.
Excellent. And I'm going to bring Tom back in because he's going to share a live demo, or a live example of some of the things that they're doing at ChannelScaler. So Tom, I know you've got some very cool stuff to show us.
Yeah, we're going to share this up, right? Really approachable kind of AI use case that anyone with a deal reg program can use to support their PAMs, right? So this is focused specifically optimizing a PAM through deal registration.
Tom, thank you very much. Some very, very cool stuff. And at the start of the discussion, this is all about how do we make our businesses easy to do business with? How do we make it easier for our partners to interact with us? And Harbinder, if you look at what you're doing with your customers, are any of them able to, in any way, shape, or form, measure? And if so, how do they do it? How easy they are to do business with for their partners? And what are they trying to do to get to the bottom of that really important topic?
So when we look at AI from an ease of use perspective, think about this like a Netflix effect. Okay. So we used to go to Blockbuster, get the videos. Then what happened? The Netflix came, and first thing that happened was the on-demand. Okay. Now, on-demand access to training, coaching, enablement, access to information. They don't have to wait for Pam or anybody to get back to them, to the marketing person for creating content. And then is on-demand, hyper-personalized experience just for them. So that is really how it's transforming this tech space. So when we look at, from our perspective, we looked at it and said, okay, let's think about from complete partner enablement, from training, coaching, learning, then enablement from ease of use for CAMs and PAMs to access data and take actions on it. And if you're a partner, and so how easily you can register deal. And the other part is when you think about AI, it is bringing the technology and the tools to partners' environment. That is one of the important things that how the AI is transforming everything. So the partners don't even have to come to vendor's portal. As an example, that you can do email-based deal registration. You can register deal. It's such an ease of use that you can easily send an email to dealreg@company.com and automatically deal will get registered, takes the unstructured data and structures it and confirms it with you, and you're done. Now with the agents, the future of agents, the information is delivered to you in your environment. So the future of PRMs or the partner platforms, we're going to basically host data. We become the data or management platforms for sure, and then have some enhanced reporting and the automation agentic layer that we support and make it very easy for partners to interact with the portals or with the platforms. That's how we see it.
Okay. And Stephen, just building on that, what are the partner interactions that really cause the issues? What do we need to do? Give us some specifics. Where are those choke points, and what do we need to do to fix them?
Okay, I think anytime the partners have to enter a portal, and by the way, please, nobody take offense to this. No partner actually wants to go into anybody's portal. They just don't, not mine, not yours. And by the way, that's not what the vendor wants either. We can make them beautiful. That's great, make them effective. But we want them to get in and to use it. I think there's a couple places where it's breaking down. And by the way, Harbinder, we can talk about structured versus unstructured data and how that can really help with that. I think it's still to the point where when that partner comes in that journey, what do they want to do? How do we know who they are, where they are, what their objectives are, and we can help guide them in that path. I think the other thing is when we go through that, James, you talked about it's where is that data? Say, for instance, what I outlined, we need to get past saying, hey, you have MDF available to go run your campaign. It should be saying, here's the MDF available, and this is what you should do. This is what you've done historically. This is what a group of partners like you have done. This knows, take that unstructured data, Harbinger, you were talking about, here's what's going on in the market, and how do we do that, and how do we pull that all together? And then the other thing I want to talk about real quickly, I know we're going to end up going over, the AI analytics that are now available to all of us that are on this call and are available to the vendors is the game changer. When you are having partners interact from an AI experience and they're asking for things and they're telling you things, it's a view into what they're thinking that you're never going to get from a partner advisory council or when you're meeting them in person. It's funny, I was talking to a large vendor the other day. She said when she goes to a certain region, they tell her how great she is and how great the company is. And when she leaves, behind their back, they're going, that was silly. You really didn't do that. So that AI knowledge and what you can get out of that, I think will be massive in how we shape that experience, because we truly understand what the partner's strengths are, weaknesses are, what they need to do, and then we can help them along their journey.
And James, we're talking about things like zero friction interactions, speed as a competitive weapon. How fast can we get that information to the partner? Because frankly, the partner wants it now. And transparency through intelligence. Now, as we build towards this, there's an awful lot of work goes into that. How do you structure this to start with, and how do you decide where to begin?
Yeah, so again, to me, a lot of it comes to sort of meeting supply to the demand, like I explained before, right? Because if you're trying to support a partner to do X to achieve Y, you have to think about what are all the components that go into that and how to actually create the right governance and personalization to organize that supply and demand. Because where we're going to have a challenge with AI is you could say, look, I'm going to put all of this knowledge into a brain and make it available to partners, but how do you deal with the problem that this partner shouldn't see that, or this person shouldn't have access to confidential information? And it goes back to the challenge I was saying before. Any one of the channel tech companies could build beautiful AI, but if they're doing it just in the context of their own platform, it's limited because it doesn't have 80% of the other intelligence or AI or knowledge to do this. So I see a very similar problem emerging here as what we saw with BI and dashboards, right? You'd have people who present beautiful dashboards and then they can't deliver them because they don't have the revenue data, they don't have the marketing data, that's in another system. So AI can only be as effective as the supply to the demand and the governance that you put around the delivery of it, right? And I think this is where big enterprises are struggling a bit. Like there's no question that AI can do powerful things, but it's all fragmented, right? It's the Copilot internally that's doing this bit. It's the ChatGPT over here that's doing that. It's the PRM AI that's doing this. If it doesn't work together, it's not going to work. So I think you've got to think about where do you start to meet the supply to the demand and all of the tooling, data sources and systems that are involved in delivering it. And of course, there's ways to truly accelerate it now with AI connectivity. You've seen all the Claude announcements, but this is not going to be SaaS anymore. This is not going to be PRM. It's not even maybe going to be CRM. So we've got to start thinking differently. And I think the companies that pivot to where this is going rather than where it is now are going to have a big advantage.
Excellent. And Tom, just want to bring you in for a second. If you look at your customers, you look at the ones that have succeeded and really started to drive home AI programs in their partner environment that work, and those that have tried and failed, what are some of the key reasons for the success and failure?
Yeah, great question. And we do preach this a lot because we've lived it a bit, right? It's the old don't try to boil the ocean with it, right? That's kind of number one. That's really going to be difficult. Like don't try to take on this massive undertaking, right? Start small and then you can scale into it, and it's much easier. It's also much more cost effective, generally speaking, right? And you can kind of learn along the way. That's one. The second is really around, well, it depends on the maturity and the size of the company that we're working with, right? And James kind of locked onto this as well. The data sovereignty piece of this is hypercritical as we move into the future, right? So it almost behooves you to say, here, let me get this AI win and this AI win and this AI win, right? The wins we know are really easy. Things like translation, anything generative has been around long enough to benefit you and your organization, right? Where it starts to get interesting is the agentic layer that's task-based, right? That's where we're kind of living in now, and we're all trying to optimize that in any way we can. And that's going to help us in any sort of ecosystem play that we have. Where it starts to get really interesting is if we try to move into this autonomous world and we actually let the agents do the tasks without human in the loop, right? Are we going to get there, and what's that going to look like? And who's going to take on any level of liability when you're thinking about platforms like us, right? So I'm having that conversation a lot. And the last piece I would say is we are seeing enterprises, and their call it their AI governance teams or internal inertia is being moved in the way of how do we deploy our solutions so that we're drinking our own champagne or eating our own dog food or whatever you may call it within to platforms like ours and others, right? To help orchestrate that overall thing. So there's a lot of conversation still out there. That's why it behooves you to kind of crawl, walk, run, right? And we try to focus on use cases that we can really measure the impact, and then move on to another one while maintaining, keep tuning on those AI use cases within the program automation lens. A little bit different when it's coming to like Steven's world, right? Where you're talking about generating all of these campaigns and kind of born in AI capabilities. For marketers, it's a dream come true in that way, right? So,
but I think you were onto something, right? We started with conversational, and then we went to the generative side. That's great. It's the agentic side that's going to change everything across all of this, right? I think who talked about it, one agent to come in and pull it all together, but then we don't even have time to start getting in building the right agents to do the right things, and how simple that's going to become to really start to figure out how many agents do I need. It's just going to be dependent on what the program is and how you built it out and what you need to get accomplished, right? I think it's going to move that fast.
Absolutely. And at this point, I'm going to bring Harbinder in, and Harbinder is going to share some of the very cool things that Mindmatrix are doing. So Harbinder, over to you.
Thank you. Let me go and share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see it? Just want to make sure you guys can see my screen. Okay. So
We got it.
So a couple of things. So we have looked at this problem of enablement, from partner enablement perspective, sales enablement, learning is one of the key areas that how you enable your partners. Real-time coaching and learning, that is one of the bigger bottlenecks, not just from partner space, but also for the direct sellers. So what I'm going to demonstrate to you is as the partner logs in, it could be a direct seller. And by the way, this is, as James pointed out, this is part of, we can embed this whole experience within 360 ecosystem. So if you're logging in 360, you can see all of this. So I'm logging in. So one of the important thing is based on my goals, based on my learning goals or based on my preferences, it is automatically recommending courses, solutions, campaigns, actions. So it is not just for campaigns, but looks at all the different elements that is you need to enable that partner. So this is hyper personalized to that partner. So I'm going to minimize my screen here. So as a partner, you can see your learning profile. You can see exactly what courses you have learned, what is happening. But one thing that I'm going to show you here is as part of automated onboarding learning, but is the skills on demand. So basically what this here you see is skills. It is TikTok form, short form video technology utilized in agentic format to train, enable partners at scale. So you have, people are tired of watching an hour-long courses. So here they can watch a TikTok style video. And so you're watching, these are 2-minute videos. And based on this, it automatically creates a quiz. You sign up, you say, yep. And based on that, if you pass that quiz, you fail it, you have to you keep on asking questions till you pass it. So this is automated process of learning and skilling your people. So we call skills in seconds. Now, the other part is I want to show you smart coaching. So smart coaching is basically you can do role plays. So it's all right. I want to do sales coach role play, what solution you're selling, and you can start the role play here. So now you can.
I'm your sales coach. I've been training enterprise reps for 8 years.
So you can do role plays. It does the performance evaluation. And this is, again, we talked about enablement to scale on demand, personalized on demand. This is a game changer. Okay. Now, this is a couple of things that you will see at PTAC, the conference. Now, let's switch gears. If you're a channel manager, we talked about AI enablement. So, and I'm going to show you when you click on this. So here you have a widgets that not supports you across help, marketing. So you can create content, you can create videos, you can create all on demand. Now, one of the important things that we have done is the concept of knowledge sources. So as a partner, I can upload my own content. So I can use the content that is personally available to me. So I can actually upload my own content, and you can create personalized videos or personalized campaigns based on that. So now, when you think about insight, a CAM can say, "Show me partners who are projected to sell." So looks at all the data and providing that insight within the platform. So again, if you think about this, this is all organized by solutioning, by help, marketing, sales across the ecosystem. So you also have, because not everybody can use prompting properly or quick links. So we also have an option to create, tables, charts. You can auto configure messages. So you have all these different options available. This is all native. This is not a Copilot add-on. This is all configured, these agents within the Mindmatrix ecosystem. So you can create hundreds of agents doing many different tasks at scale. That could be marketing tasks, help tasks, sales tasks, marketing tasks. So, and then if you're looking at marketing tasks, you can create output in any format. Thank you.
Great. Really cool, Harbinder. And picking up on that, I was talking just before Harbinder showed that cool stuff. Tom, if you look at your clients, everybody's saying, where do I start? So if you look at the client base you've got, I hear a lot about deal registration being a start point for a lot of people. I heard, about co-sell. If you look across the client base, where are the most popular start points for people embedding AI-related technology into their partner programs?
Yeah, and I think and the reason that we kind of showed the video that we did is deal registration is a highly popular area, right? It's where the rubber meets the road on the revenue, right, for any given vendor, right? So optimizing that, speeding that up in any way, just hard ROI in general, very easy to measure, right? So that's where we see it. Then that's why it's popular, and almost every program in the world's got a level of deal registration, right? Where we start to see it when you start to talk about things like co-sell, which in our industry can mean all sorts of things, from account mapping upfront all the way through to hyperscaler engagements in actions that you may take, and then also kind of co-closing can mean when people talk co-sell. So there's a lot of different co-sells, but all those co-sells really lend themselves to AI in general. Other areas that we're seeing is obviously anything for us is around the incentives landscape, MDF in general, anything to do with rebates or spiff programs, right? How do I optimize those? How do I pay those? How do I let the partner know how they get to earn more, right? How do I let them know that when they're doing some other task that, hey, there's this amount of money that is there for you to claim, and also alerting the PAM, hey, this money is unclaimed, so they have a good engagement point to reach out, right? So those are the popular areas. I think what's really kind of interesting is when you get into scale, the request of us change. So I'll just use an example of MDF. We have a client that is global, tens of thousands of partners, millions in MDF funding. Their biggest problem is, hey, we can't get through the claim process fast enough, right? So we kind of set up an audit piece to that where it gave them a kind of pre-read of any of the invoices or any of the proof of performance that came through, and doubled their time to approve the claims, which ultimately pays the partners within the periods where they can actually impact change. If you're an immature program, maybe that's not your biggest problem, right? But for a very large scale problem, they said, wow, this is game changing for us, right? Like for us to speed up a very monotonous manual thing like this is having deep impact, right? So it's just, again, it gets back to that scale. Am I more of an emerging program? Am I much more of a hyper mature program? And what are the pain points we can solve for? But AI has been fantastic for that kind of scaled out use case. And you'll keep seeing that, I think. And the more mature programs have that advantage in general.
And Stephen, where are you seeing people adopting fastest?
Look, any of the AI out there, and there's a lot of AI whitewash out there, it needs to be purpose built. And I think we've all talked about that. start with conversational, right? And that's the easiest one. And then the generative side. For us, it's creating the right content and helping vendors create the right content on the vendor side. And I think on the partner side, how do they find that content, right? It's in the demand generation. Like nothing happens until someone sells something, and nobody sells anything until they have a meeting and they have a lead, right? So if you want to talk about revenue growth, how do you demand generation, which has been a challenge for partners? That's a great place to start just on the content side. And I've had conversations with everyone on this panel about, look, localization and translation. 90% of all of our clients it depends on who you are global. And a lot of this work just doesn't get done, right? So they're not really supporting the partners in region. Or I think one of the biggest things is partners don't want to sound like another partner. And how do we blend that message? If you don't help them do that, they're not going to use your content. They're just not, and they're not going to do demand generation, right? So it needs to be purpose-built, and it needs to have an outcome to it, right? Something that's easily measurable.
Excellent. Stephen, I'm going to stay with you for a moment because Stephen is also going to demonstrate some very cool stuff that Structured are doing.
I am. So here's what we're going to end up talking about, if everybody can see my screen okay. We talk about making it easy for partners. And so how do you do that? And just giving them a screen with the prompt, I think Harbinder talked about, is not enough, right? And actually, we even talked about you need some AI enablement, but you need to make it really simple for them in their terms to come in and just ask for what they need, right? So we're going to walk through that. So you make it easy for them, and that'll get them to come in, and that'll get them to engage. But then you need to make it valuable for them so they'll come back over and over again.
All right, so what we're looking at here is the example home screen. This is the first page that a partner will see when they log on to the Structured platform through single sign-on. The first thing that we can see, of course, is welcoming me by name. So with that, we know, okay, who the partner is, their profile, where they're logging in from, tier, type, etc., to then be able to segment content and segment information specifically for each partner. The other thing that we notice is the brand look and feel. The entire platform is completely customizable. The colors, logos, font, even the URL can and will be customized specifically for each one of our customers. And furthermore, on that same point, the entire platform is self-serve. So any custom UI and UX pages, content management, our customers will be trained to do that to be able to be as self-sufficient as possible. Now on the home screen, of course, we'll notice the chat box. That chat box directly correlates to our conversational and assistant AI, which is the entry point for the partner to be able to really do anything within the platform. Or what we've been saying is it's a just ask model, meaning the partner can literally ask for a campaign or for recommendations or content. And what our AI will do is serve back to them information relevant for the initial question. Now, some partners, of course, still prefer that content library, so we can give them ebooks and infographics, battle cards, and an organized fashion here in the traditional sense of the asset library, but the main interaction with the partner will be through the AI. So as a partner, we can come in and say, for example, find campaigns about enterprise security. And what will happen is the AI will comb through the library and recommend to the partner the asset or the campaign that best fits their question. So the email has now been activated, pulled into my account, and once it's loaded in a second here, we'll see, of course, automatically co-branded with the partner co right next to our vendor logo, another partner logo, and then name and company name. But we really want to focus on the attention on here is on the left-hand side. So this continues the conversation with the partner to help them personalize the asset. Our email in this case is about storage solutions for education sector SMBs in the US. But I'm a partner, I don't really sell to education, right? I sell to, my industry is healthcare. The target business size is enterprise. The target recipient department in this case can be CISO. The solution focus will be safeguarding your data. And let's keep this to the United States. Okay? And now by clicking generate, we'll see the asset on the right be automatically updated, specifically focusing and targeting CISOs in the enterprise healthcare space.
okay, what was that, 3 minutes? And it's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and I just came in, I found the content, created an email, hyper-personalized it, and now I click, and here I go, I created a campaign. That was hours of work, and you can translate it, you can localize it. It's just incredible how fast that's going to go. And then, as we've all talked about, you take that unstructured data out there and start to tell the partner where to send it, when to send it, what to do with it, and with the agentic side of it. I mean, you're just transforming demand generation, right? Which is the engine for the revenue growth that makes all those other programs successful, right? Let's create some demand so we actually have something to put into deal registration.
And going back to my earlier point, this connection between different brains is the key, because what you had demonstrated there is exactly the logic of taking the CRM information, the order specific data, the end user information, and automating what you just showed there, right? I don't have to tell it which target customer, which region, which industry, because the CRM is telling me that. So this gets really powerful when you put it all together. And same with Harbinder's demonstration. How does that learning interact with everything else? How do these components work together? That's the key, because nobody on this call can tell you they got the whole stack.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, James, Tom, Harbinder, Stephen, thank you very, very much indeed. That time went by in a flash. If you liked what you saw, and I'm sure you did, and you want to dig into it more, once again, I'm seeing, and I'm asked a lot about who should I be recruiting. And one of the things that I am seeing time and time again, getting higher and higher on people's agendas when they look to recruit people, is understanding and ability around AI. And so one of the reasons we launched PartnerTech X was so not only could you see the technology, but you could build an understanding of what it can do and how you can bring it into your organizations. So really look forward to seeing all of these guys there, and hopefully many of you on the call there. But once again, James, Tom, Harbinder, Stephen, thank you very, very much indeed. Great job, guys.
Thank you.